It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. Wow, everyone, I'm so excited about having today's guest back on our program. You know, we've had the opportunity to interview her in our previous shows. We've had such a great time. And, you know, with Valentine's Day just around the corner here, I thought having her on today's program would be absolutely perfect. For all of you that have just tuned in for the very first time, thank you so much. The Divas That Care is going into our 11th year. We are listened to in over 30 countries around the world, and it's because of all of you that we continue to do these amazing programs. We have a bunch of hosts on our network at divasthatcare.com, so make sure you check them out and support them. Well, as I said, today's guest is an amazing woman. She has been on my show lots, and I just always love having her on. She always has such great advice. And today I really want to just catch up and see what she's been up to for the last little while here. So welcome to the program, Eileen. I'm so happy to have you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on. We're on the fly, people. This is how we roll.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, girl. I haven't talked to you for so long, but before we kind of dive into some stuff, would you mind introducing yourself to maybe some of the new listeners that are just tuning in?
Yes, of course. I am a relationship mindset coach, and what that means is I help you to understand limiting beliefs, patterns that keep you stuck, things that you're unaware of and really can affect your life tremendously. So couples and singles hire me because at times all of us have felt stuck, trapped, and powerless in our relationships, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship. And what happens is we shut our hearts down, and that stops us in couples relationships. Resentments build up, and that affects your relationships. And for singles, that puts walls up. And so I assist you with that so that you may thrive in your life and get the love you desire.
I love that. And it's so perfect for Valentine's Day coming up. But one of the things, before we kind of dive into that, I want to ask you, how was 2020 for you? And how was it for the people that you work with? Because there's got to be a lot of pressures, and there must have been a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, you know, mindset is critical to my quality of life, and I do a lot of visioning, of positive manifestation. So for people who don't know that, there's a vibration that we put out. We put out negative or positive energy, and you find that when you even meet someone and they've got this downtrodden energy or upbeat energy, and people are attracted to upbeat energy. Your body also is affected by whether, what your thoughts are. Your mind accepts statements as facts. So what you tell it, it accepts. So if you say, oh, it sucks, it's going to be a terrible day, you will have a terrible day. And for me, I've stayed positive. And actually, this morning I was just kind of giggling to myself and saying, I have a great life. I've created a great life for myself by creating these patterns to give me a good life where I can thrive.
I love that, because it is so important to do that. And I think that some of us maybe in the last year have gotten a little bit trapped, and we weren't able to do that. We were so overwhelmed with everything going on in the world. And I think it's really important to realize that we have to look outside that and realize that there is so much good out there, and having that belief within ourselves. And I think that's even within those relationships. I think it was very strained in the last little while and having, perhaps somebody like yourself that people can talk to realize that, we can work through these blocks and these misinterpretations of things. And I think that's kind of the stuff I want to talk about, because I think it will lead into something that could be a really positive thing come Sunday.
Yeah, fear is a deadly thing. If you allow yourself to be taken over by the fear, chemically it affects your body. And that's an unhealthy thing. So, there's lots of ways, even music. I usually start my day out. I'm a country fan. I have done a lot of country dancing, and I have the music on. And if you could see through my office doors here, I'm two-stepping around the office, or I'm cha-chaing, and that's generally how I start my day. But it's a choice.
I love that.
It is a choice to create these things for yourself. I want people to understand that. There's always a choose to or a choose not to. And when we choose not to, life chooses for us. So it's a choice about seeing the positive. Actually, I heard something on the, he was the coach for the figure skating team. And he was saying all the positives that COVID is teaching people. The tenacity, the, overcoming mindset, being together, families, spending more time together. There's so many positives that we could look for.
You know what? And I agree with that completely, because that's what I found. I found that through everything else, yes, we haven't been able to leave the house. Yes, we haven't been able to do certain things that we did in the past. But I was able to spend a lot more time with my children. I was ways to come up with, we thought of ways to come up with talking with family all over the world by utilizing, the Zoom. I thought that was great. Mm-hmm. Our family, even though we worked together and we didn't utilize that tool. And we thought, we need to utilize that. And now I'm talking to people that I haven't talked to in years. And I think that was a positive in itself. And I think people, you're right. It is the mindset. Is this going to affect me in a negative way, or is it going to affect me in a positive way? And for myself, I reinvented myself in a lot of ways, and I found it as a positive thing.
No kidding. Yeah, really. There's so many ways that if we, it's like I don't have any closet space, and then you go in and you rearrange things, or cupboard space, and you go, I got tons of space. It's looking at life, stand back and opening up your perspective and seeing it in a different way. I had a client who came to me, and she was overwhelmed with, she has a father who lives alone, a mother-in-law who's in a care home, and she was babysitting for her grandchildren because her daughter was working, just so overwhelmed with taking care of everybody. And, I suggested to her to set up a schedule and have the kids, get a picture from way back and phone grandpa or grandma and send it to them, or Zoom it, or if they're in a home, fax it in. And then each of them taking a turn and talking and setting up a schedule with grandma or grandpa and saying, tell me about this. What was happening in your life? It's about reconnection and those connections.
Yes, I love it. And that must feel really good as a relationship coach yourself, is, sharing that with people, because I think a lot of people are realizing, we can't see you face to face, but let's do something different. Let's do something that could be fun. And I even found with my kids are doing a lot of Zooms with their grandparents, even more so now than ever. And they love it. Yeah. They actually sit and have deeper communications instead of, just sitting side by side with them in an area. They'll actually like, okay, what have you been up to? And then they show pictures and they talk about things, about their dreams. And I love that, because it's more of that one-on-one connection. Before, you would have to be around people, and it would always be a group mentality.
And we didn't take the time to do that. We got offside with other things, right? Maybe eating or just talking about non-essential things. And a lot of people are learning the history of their grandparents. I learned things when my brother started taking down the history of my mom and dad that I never knew, that he had a radio show in Regina. Army and Navy was a sponsor, and these sort of things, like you go, wow, I didn't know that. And it can be fascinating for the grandchildren.
I love it. So now let's dive into some of the things that maybe people are scared about this year, is those personal relationships, either being single or in a relationship being coupled. Valentine's Day for some people is a very stressful time, you know,
Yeah.
but for others, it's a very positive time. So let's talk a little bit about that.
For couples, you know, life's busy. There's jobs and kids and all sorts of things. And even in the best relationships, resentments build up. And unresolved issues stay there. And we think it's okay, we skim over them, but they're still there. And what I've come to realize is people's hearts aren't totally open. They're partially closed down. They're guarded. They're not really loving from their heart. And that's one of the things that I've been working on with couples is more love, more connection. For singles, I had an experience myself where I wanted a certain experience, and I thought, I'm too old to ever have that experience. But I started manifesting. I've been really good at visioning and manifesting and the vibration of it. And I manifested in a man and got that exact experience. And that taught me the power of how powerful my mind is. And I've been manifesting all sorts of little things that are like a picture. I wanted a picture of vibrant red poppies, and I walk into Value Village. There's my picture. The mind is a very powerful thing. And, you know, for singles, we don't realize that maybe that we've got walls up too. That's why we're not in a relationship. And so I have a vibrational attraction process that I use for singles. And I also use part of that for mapping and helping people understand who they're attracted to, why, you know, what their patterns are and how they can really expand out of those.
I think that's so important. And I love what you were saying earlier. It's never too late. You know, I think a lot of people think that they give up and there's like, oh, I can't do this. It's too late for that. And it is. It's never too late. I believe that you need to live your life to the best you can live it, you know, and enjoy it and love it. And what you're doing and helping people is so powerful. And I want to thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm passionate about it. I'm able to see the possibilities outside the box. And, you know, people come and they come in, their shoulders are down and they're just so overwhelmed and stressed and they don't know how to handle this and stuff is piling up. And then we just talk through the solutions and how they can handle it. And you can just see the stress, it just oozes, it just melts away from them. I want to say one of the most powerful things that we can do in relationships is appreciation. The words of appreciation are magical if they're sent from the heart. And I don't think we do that enough on a daily basis, tell people we appreciate them, what we love about them. That can absolutely shift relationships on its own.
Oh, I love that. I've read all those books on the love languages because I always thought that those were very powerful. When you say something to someone, can you maybe not necessarily say, can you do it a different way? Because obviously different people accept things differently. How does that work within relationships?
Well, you also know I'm an Enneagram teacher, and I love the Enneagram personalities because they are so accurate in understanding people's relationships and their patterns and what's important to them, how they think, feel, act, and react. So important. And when you have that basis of, why do you flip out when I leave the cupboard door open? Like, it's just a cupboard door open. But to someone else, it's way more than that. There's unconscious things underneath there that when you bring them to light, it's like, oh, okay, now I can work with that. Now I understand that. Now I can manage myself better. Or I can be more kind to my partner or my friends or even my boss or family because I understand why that's so fundamental for them.
I think it's something that everybody should take, that class.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know what? I've got a 5-day Spice It Up free relationship challenge on my website, eileenhead.com, that I'll probably leave running for a while. And what's so cool about that is you get a fun exercise every day, one a day for 5 days, and at the end you plan a date night. But not just any date night, a date night that's specific to your partner. You know, some people,
Oh, I love that.
you know, they like the excitement and they want, you know, a lot of, you know, they want some fun things to do. And to someone else, sitting beside each other and reading books might be their favorite thing to do, depending on the personality. And so we go through these 5 days, and it really opens people's eyes, and it's all about personalities, and it's fun and easy. I had one gal, her testimonial's on my page, and she went through it. Her husband didn't go through it, but she did. And so she started talking to him about the concepts and working through this best night of her life, best night of her marriage. Absolutely turned their marriage around.
Oh, wow.
He started conversation. They had conversations they never had.
Well, then we're definitely going to be posting on all of our social medias so that everybody that is listening today, make sure that you check that out, because I think that is a must-need for everybody.
And, you know, you can be single and take it because you learn about yourself, and you can figure out past relationships and their personalities and maybe why you misinterpreted and misunderstood or weren't able to connect to fill each other's needs. It's a very powerful little program, and I'm really proud of it. And, you know, for the singles, I have my Date Smarter book out there now. I'm single, so I gathered all this information on how to date smarter and be more successful and feel and enjoy the journey more, because it's dating online is not for the faint of heart.
No, I can't even imagine. And you know what? I think this is great information to share with our younger adults also, like our ones that are maybe just coming out of high school that are just going to be dating for the first time. You know, let's prepare them, you know, so they have a better understanding instead of making so many mistakes. You know, I always think, being the mother of 4 girls, I worry about that. You know, it's a different world that we live in. Dating is completely different than when I started dating. And I thought, okay, how do I prepare them so that they make good choices?
You have them come to me, and I teach them their personality so they know what the relationship gifts are, and so they can be strong in who they are and know what sort of partner they're looking for. That's what you do.
Well, that's what I'm going to be doing, because I have an 18-year-old. I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do.
You know, truly, if I'd known some of this information, you know, things would have been different. I wouldn't have needed to go through the I'm not good enough, you know, the insecurities. As long as I did, it took me a lot of years to work through that. And when you can stand on the foundation of knowing exactly who you are and have confidence in that, that shifts the game.
Oh, I love that. So empowering to have that type of internal power to understand yourself, and I think that is so wonderful.
Yeah, I've had moms and daughters come to me before when they've struggled in their, you know, even in the girls in their friendships, and then have gone away and went, oh, that's why, oh, that's why, oh, that's why. And even the relationship between the mom and the daughter have improved tremendously.
Oh, I love it. I love everything you do. It's always inspiring when I talk to you, because I know that you're making such a difference in people's lives. Relationships are where it's at. You know, we need relationships to survive, to make us who we are. And when you can help people figure things out, I think the sky's the limit for these people.
It is, but sadly, people, I don't know, they are, it seems like they're afraid to do the inner work. I don't know what they're afraid of. They're going to find something about themselves they don't already know. It is so freeing to do the inner work. People really elevate the quality of their lives because they start living with consciousness and awareness and response ability. We have the ability to change the response to what we're doing and how we're doing it in a much more positive way.
You know what? It's going to be my goal to get information that you are sharing with as many people as I can, because I think that we need to do that. I think that going into 2021, this is a good goal to have, is to work within ourselves. We know a lot of us are at home right now. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not do these little things to assist us? You know, to me, it's like, why wouldn't you want to? It's a no-brainer. So it's my goal is to do that, to share with all of our listeners as much as I can, so that they can get the tools that they need for their lives.
Thank you. You know, it's an investment. People go to college and they pay tuition to get a better job, a better career. Why wouldn't you do that for your life? Why wouldn't you invest in it's not a lot. I have different programs that are short and not all that expensive or more in depth. I've got singles and couples programs. Invest because it changes your life.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to ask you one more thing. What other tips and tools do you have for our listeners today?
Oh, let me see. Life is a choice. Like, the power of the vibration in your body, the mindset, the positiveness, setting up every day in gratitude and every night of the things in your life. You know, we hear this all the time, gratitude, gratitude. This is so powerful. I cannot tell you. It's really important. Gratitude, appreciation, compassion for yourself as you're growing through things and learning. Those are the three big things to work through it. One of my favorite sayings when I if something comes up and I go, isn't that interesting? I reacted that way. I've worked on that so much. Why have I done that again? But instead of beating myself up, it's like, oh, what I need to learn from that again. Here it is again. So looking at life with more like more interest, like, wow, why is that coming? What's that about? And the internal work, it can be a real fun journey.
Oh, I love that. And, you know, the older I get, the more I realize I don't know nothing. And I'm constantly trying to learn more because I realize I don't know anything. And I think that's the humility that we feel within ourselves. Okay, it humbles us quite a bit to realize that there's so much more out there. There's so much for us to learn and to appreciate. And I love the connections that we are able to make. And that's what I think the Divas That Care is all about, is having those connections, finding those people, sharing that with everybody else, because you never know how you're going to be able to connect, where that's going to fit within your life. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for continuing to be an amazing guest on our program, for sharing all the things that you share with us. You know, we really appreciate you. I'm very grateful for the time that you come on and you spend with me. So thank you so much for being my guest again today.
Thank you for having me on. This is fun. Thank you.
Well, that's always my pleasure. And I always look forward to having you on the show. So we will definitely continue to do that. Any new things that you want to share with our listeners, we will have you back on to share with them.
Oh, you know what? I also offer a free call. Go to my website, eileenhead.com. I will give you a strategy call, and we'll figure some things out. If you're having some challenges, it's a free call. And let's get you moving.
Perfect. So all of our listeners, you make sure that you do that. You won't regret it at all. Thank you so much to my amazing guest, Eileen. And thank you to all of our listeners. As I said, it's because of all of you that we've continued to have these amazing calls, people around the world. And I'm just so happy to do this. I hope that all of you have a fantastic day and that you do something kind. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.